you had the only individual who believed in y'all.
Right.
Like, Dr. King was the ones that kept telling us to love y'all and not to be angry at y'all. And y'all killed him. You say you want to make a change in the black community, and I'm going to ask you, what's your membership?
Yeah,
what does your membership look like? What are you a member of? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
If somebody say elevator pitch, this is what you need to know about MLK in his entirety, in his fullness, what would that be? And then why is that message not the message that we know about?
I would say that MLK, he was not only a radical change for American society, but he was also a proper representation of what positive leadership looks like.
Which is?
Someone who's a truth teller in all its ugliness. At the Riverside Church in 1967, Dr. King gave an anti-war speech. April 4th, 1967. Let's think about this. So he gives this anti-Vietnam speech in which he links militarization with racism, with segregation and the oppression of African Americans here.
With the military-industrial intelligence complex.
Correct. And how the people in Vietnam are being oppressed by the same entity. Like Johnson, we can't ramp up a war to defeat the Viet Cong, and then we have a war on poverty here, and then we're saying that we're passing legislation for voting and civil rights here, but you're trying to
oppress people over
there and take away their plight for their own self-determination. So, as Tavis Smiley points out in this book, The Death of a King, 1967 was the most unpopular year for Dr. King. Okay. Because you had black people that said, look, Johnson, he did right by us. He passed his legislation.
Well,
why are you talking about him?
The okie doke right there.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Yeah. Why are you talking about him? So
they basically, because they were getting this legislation, which, by the way, Republicans actually were pushing initially, and Johnson was like, okay, well, I need to win, so I'm going to go back on my racist ways and then give these to these people, so that what they would say, they'd be voting Democrat 50 years because of this. That's what happened, right?
That's the quote that he's famous for.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so in that year, we got to go back to 1967 and to see the ascension of Johnson's image and the descension of MLK's in the black community, or also the community in general.
Well, in 1967, you have doves and hawks. Doves are people who are for peace, and hawks are people who are out for war.
Yeah, so the hawks would be like Hillary Clinton, right?
There you go.
Anyway.
There you go.
Keeping it relevant.
There you go.
So go ahead.
So the hawks are saying, look, Vietnam, we got to win Vietnam. Communism. We have to defeat communism. Which is also another thing that we can utilize our trajectory with, how cocaine comes into the black community.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
The fight against communism. And
really? That could be another episode. That's got to be another episode.
But
the use of drugs on our community in order to pacify us and to basically...
And to fight communism.
To fight communism. Wow.
So,
mind blown. See what I'm saying? Like, every other minute, my mind's blown.
And when you have Ronald Reagan, who testified for the House on Un-American Activities, become the president, and who's also anti-communist. He's, any way to defeat communism.
Yeah, well, I'm not a fan of communism either. Okay. But anyway.
So, 1967, Dr. King, he's very unpopular. He's basically saying, look, we don't need to go to war. You got black boys and white boys, they're fighting in Vietnam together, but they can't even be on the bus together. Yeah. They can't even go to the same lunch counter together.
Yeah.
So black people are like, no, Dr. King, don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to make us look bad. You're going to make us look ungrateful. Boom.
Like we're on the plantation still. Anyway, go ahead.
Begotten. We're beholden to someone that shows us a brief amount of attention, and we make it last forever. Like Keith Sweat said. But
you have to break that down for me too.
Make it last forever, like Keith Sweat said.
I was a little in a bubble.
Lord have mercy. So they're saying, okay, we can't do that to Johnson. But Johnson, at the same time, he's mad at Dr. King because Dr. King is still pushing. He's still advocating. He's agitating.
For his people.
For his people. When is this legislation going to pass?
Right.
So when we get to Memphis, Tennessee, April the 3rd, 1968,
Right.
there's an injunction sign in which they're saying the king cannot speak.
Oh.
Like, a lot of people don't know that.
So basically, they were trying to suppress his free speech.
Yeah, because he came down for the, I believe, the Garbage Men's Union in 1968. King is assassinated April 4th, 1968, a year to the day
Of when he spoke out
against
about Vietnam.
Vietnam in the Riverside Church.
Dang.
So when people don't have all the pieces
Right.
to the puzzle and they look at it and they say, oh, Dr. King was America's sacrifice. He loved everybody. Dr. King's dream is for all of us to love each other and be with one another. Well, Dr. King took complacent white people to task. He took complacent black people to task.
Yeah.
He took white liberals to task. He took black liberals to task. He took white conservatives to task. He took like Dr. King, he was an individual that
We were talking about truth telling.
Exactly. He constantly reminds you, look, you know there's racism going on.
Right.
Look, you know there's oppression going on.
Right.
Look, we live in the most civilized land in the world. Why is there so much poverty?
Exactly.
So where do we go from here? Dr. King, he's like, I understand why these brothers are burning everything up to go look at their condition, but this is not positive energy that can be used in a way
Constructive.
for a progressive measure.
Little p progressive, not
Little
big p progressive.
Little p. Little p. So when Dr. King died, this is very instrumental because there are clips of Stokely Carmichael who's distraught. And a lot of times people, they would talk about black powers if it's not rooted in the Southern black experience because they were in Loudoun County, Alabama. The Black Panther Party was used to go against the Democratic Party in the South to galvanize a black constituency and to push black people to advocate for their self-determination in this space.
Right.
So,
So you basically had the Black Panthers had its own party. You had the Republican Party.
the SNCC,
And
under
SNCC.
SNCC.
All
Under
those
SNCC, the Black Panther logo, which the Black Panther Party in Oakland would use, comes from Loudoun County, from the SNCC individuals who were organizing down there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
so there's a cultural
Connection.
to these things that's taking place.
Right. So it's like a development and evolution.
There's a development.
And then if you weren't there on the ground in the 60s,
You wouldn't understand it.
especially of how it's been written throughout
Exactly.
those years.
Exactly, because I'm a member of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, founded
Okay.
by Dr. Carter G. Woodson in
Yeah.
1915.
Shout out.
So all my listeners, make sure you join the association. You say you want to make a change in the black community,
And
and I'm
stay
going to
woke.
ask you, what's your membership?
Yeah,
what does your
right?
membership look like? What are you a member of? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm not a
exactly.
member of the NAACP because I pretty much don't identify with the ideology and the politics, but I am a member of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, ASALH, founded
Okay.
by Dr. Carter G. Woodson.
Nice.
But in Memphis, Tennessee, we were at a session, and you had all these individuals who had written books about the Black Power movement,
Right.
and they're going around talking about this aspect and that aspect. And there's a little black lady right there, and someone turned to her and asked her, "So, what book did you write?" And she said, "Oh no, I was just one of the members that was in Greenwood, Mississippi." Dr. King, we didn't identify with Dr. King until after he had died because we didn't realize what he actually meant and how much of a lasting, binding piece, a fixture in the whole movement that he was. And after that, we began to look back on Dr. King and some of the stuff that he said because within that moment, we never expected for him to die like that.
Right.
But then you have this Black Power on steroids because now you've lost, because like Huey,
Black Power
not
on
Huey, but
steroids.
like
That's what
Stokely
he
said. Stokely said you had the only individual who believed in y'all.
Right.
Like Dr. King was the ones that kept telling us to love y'all and not to be angry at y'all, and y'all killed him.
Because that's basically what we know. We know that some people feel like MLK was like a sellout, right? Because he was like all about assimilation and like desegregation and all that, but they don't realize that he was about the upliftment of his people while he would be uplifting everybody.
Well, I think a lot of people today, they get assimilation and acculturation and all these words,
Right.
they try to fuse them together.
Right.
I believe what Dr. King was saying, we want our... Look, if we live in a separate but equal society,
Right.
our separate piece is not equal to the white piece. Why don't our black high school look like the white high school?
Yeah.
That's what funding looked like.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when they're saying that they're fighting against segregation, okay, if we're saying that we're having a separate society, this was the whole premise. That's why Thurgood Marshall was able to dismantle Jim Crow. That basically, if you're going to give these people separate but equal, why doesn't this look like this?
Shout out to Howard Law.
HU.
Yes.
So if this doesn't look like that, look, this is not separate but equal.
Right.
So the government couldn't keep up financially with separate but equal.
Okay.
They didn't have the
It
money.
was too expensive
It
to
was
keep.
too expensive to keep segregation.
It always comes out with money, huh?
Exactly.
Wow.
So Dr. King, he believed in the vision of America.
Right.
And that's why Dr. King is so important, because at our best, he's what the country could be.
That more perfect union.
That more perfect union.
Yeah, full citizenship.
Full citizenship.
Absolutely.
That America is sending the moral message throughout the world that, you know, this is what brotherhood, fraternity, and a multicultural society should look like.
Right. Yeah. So multicultural.
Exactly.
Yeah. It seems as if everybody's kind of talking down as opposed to it being organic and be community based.
Exactly. Everyone is looking to make a national impact instead of building a local impact.
Getting their clicks up, right?
You gotta click up. You gotta click up first. You click up first, and then you're able to spread your ideology. You're able to move around in different places to help fill in the gaps for other people. And I believe now, since we don't focus on the institutional history of Black America, we're constantly trying to reinvent the wheel.